Today I'm really lucky to talk with Claire Broad, author and medium. She's a medium that opens up her books once a year to the public and she gets books out for the entire year. She's so good. I've seen her in action and I'm lucky enough to call her my teacher, confidant, friend, mentor, all of the above. Her book, What the Dead Are Dying to Teach Us, what a title, was one of the first books that I read on mediumship when I first started on my journey towards exploring mediumship myself. She's also wrote Answers from Heaven with Teresa Chung, and her latest book is all about soul connections and is called Heaven Sent. All of these books are available worldwide, everywhere in bookstores. I think you're going to really enjoy this conversation. Claire goes super deep. We go all into it about spirit guides, mediumship, her own journey, of course. She's just a fountain of knowledge, and I can't wait for you to hear this interview. I think you're going to enjoy it.
My name's Phil Webster. After travelling the world for 20 years, I returned to my native England and embarked on an acting career. Things were going pretty good. But losing my mum in 2021, coupled with an unexplained event, sent my life on a completely different path, forever. I trained with indigenous shamans, meditation teachers, mediums and thought leaders, and I wrote a book called Letting Glow. Join me on a quest to demystify the mystical with some of the world's leading experts on the esoteric, consciousness, and the journey to letting glow. Hi Claire, thanks for joining me. It's really nice to have you here, and thanks for taking time out of your day to come and talk to me.
Oh, hi, Phil. I can't wait. This is great. Thanks.
Could you tell me about your first experience of mediumship? I know the story quite well, and I've weirdly added myself to it in a strange way later on down the line. But yeah, for anybody that doesn't know it, could you talk about your first experience of mediumship?
Sure. Well, I have been in contact with or experiencing the spiritual realms around me since I was a baby. I mean, my mum tells me that from about the age of 2, even as soon as I could speak, I was telling her, there's a man in my bedroom. Of course, she couldn't see that man at all. At first, we thought that given that a gentleman had died in the house before we owned it, well, she assumed that maybe it was him, given it. She knew that this guy had died there, unfortunately. But over time, I've now learned that it was probably my spirit teacher, my spirit guide. At the age of 4, I was standing in Richmond Cemetery. My granddad had passed about a year before, and we'd gone to tidy up his plot, and I was there with my nan and my mum, and I was playing with a vase, some stones and some water. Far too young to really appreciate what I was even doing there. It was just a day out for me. And as I'm playing, I then became very aware of my granddad coming, well, I say coming around me, but it's like I felt him almost like cloaking me in love. And then I just could feel his personality there. And I heard within my mind, I could hear him saying, Claire, tell Nanny Grandad says I love you, Ive. And I was answering back. You see, I was so young, I didn't even have the, analysing skills even to say, well, this is odd. Why am I answering back? But I was answering back saying, no, I don't want to. I'm playing because I was just so engrossed in what I was doing on this beautiful day. And he was saying, Claire, please tell Nanny Grandad says I love you, Ive. And it was just a complete impressing upon me, stand up and say it. So in my frustration, because I wanted to just get on with what I was doing, I stood up. My nan and my mum were standing by a gate. I'm shouting across to them, Nanny, Grandad says I love you, Ive. And her mouth just went, and so did my mum's. I can remember it. I can remember that really clearly, because as it would transpire, which I didn't obviously know at the time, only my granddad got to call my nan Ive. Her name was Ivy, but she hated it, and everybody called her Connie. Although I never heard that because my mum and my family, even my dad, called her mum, and I called her Nanny. So the fact that I'd said Ive, she just knew it was her Stan. And she died when she was 92. She would still talk to me about that. It left such a lasting impression. So really, I've been in communication with the spirit world my whole life, but I didn't recognize that, and I didn't really give any real serious consideration to it until my teenage years, when it got a whole nother level of interesting.
And that's so nice that your mum and grandma were really open to that they didn't just dismiss it, that they took it as on board as real. Yeah, so that's nice that you had that base to start with and go from there. So when you got to your teenage years, did you ever have any doubt about it? Was there any point, or was there any thinking, okay, I don't want this, or?
Well, the thing is, I had a very normal, typical upbringing. So it wasn't like I was constantly seeing the dead around me all the time. I just had some experiences that, like you say, hadn't been poo-pooed. I mean,
Mhm.
they knew out of the mouth of babes, right? I mean, I didn't have the emotional maturity at the time even to care that my nan needed that
Mhm.
message. So they knew. Plus, my nan had, and I didn't know this until I got older, my nan had had her own experiences. So it was just normalized, but not ever talked about, not needed to be talked about. And so I just grew up really just knowing there was something else, but not needing to even question
Mhm.
it too
Mhm.
much. It wasn't until I reached my teenage years. My mum and dad got divorced, and I went through teenage years are not
Mhm.
easy
Mhm.
anyway on anyone. But I went through a very difficult, challenging time. I'd grown up in a very stable, loving family home, and it was the first time I was being
Mhm.
challenged. Um, and then that I started to have all sorts of paranormal stuff going on around me then, and it got really
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, I
Um,
can sort of relate to that. And also just want to mention earlier, where I was talking about connecting myself to your story. 40 years later, I read your first book, which was my introduction to mediumship and what the dead are dying to teach us. And that really opened the door. And just sort of one thing led from another. But what was really interesting about that is that I just bought this book based on the title and the synopsis. And the first story took place across the street. So when you were talking about Richmond Cemetery, I could literally look out my window and see Richmond Cemetery. And I didn't know where you're from. You could have been from America, Australia, or anywhere. And I picked up this book that took
yeah.
place right across the road from me. And then, of course, we went on to meet each other. And I just feel that there was like a weird sort of synchronicity 40 years down the line. Yeah, with that story. But anyway, sorry, I'm interrupting with my stuff.
No, 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 isn't it? No, no, I love that. And also, this is all important because we are all
Mm.
connected, right? We're all one. And I believe there was such intelligence. The spirit world, my granddad really could have done that
Yeah.
anywhere. But you just saying that is sparking the whole understanding me that doing it there, then me then later going on and having these stories and us
Mm.
connecting
Mm.
and other, the intelligence behind everything is
Actually,
just
that's a lot if you
phenomenal.
do sort of connect the dots with that and not just put it down to coincidence. Yeah. So
Yeah.
just could we go on to spirit guides? You've started using a different term for spirit guides, right?
I have personally just recently, well, I do use the
Mm.
term spirit guide, but we all have spirit guides. Every one of us has got spirit guides. They're teachers. Just like in this lifetime, the teacher will appear when the student's ready, It's the same in the spirit world. The spirit guides are teachers that help us, inspire us, guide us, lead us towards information and knowledge that we might need. So we do have a team of them, and they can change at any time. But we will always have a guide that walks through the whole of life with us. So, and that's from birth to death. And they know and will have signed up. You will know them also, by the way, even if you don't remember that you know them. Before you entered in here, this guide would have been allocated to help you on your
Mhm.
soul path. So my spirit guide, who goes by the name of White Feathers, been using the term soul guardian. And it's actually, I like it because it's like the guardian, the one who loves you, the one who's going to be there looking over your soul
Mhm.
journey. They're all doing that, but they're your mentor. So we've all got one of
Mhm.
those as well. Bit like your guardian angel, if you want to look
Is
at
there
it
just
in
when
that
you
way.
mention it, is there a difference? I've always found the distinction between spirit guides and guardian angels and your higher self and all that. Is it all entwined, or are we talking about separate entities?
We're talking about
Hmm.
separate
Okay.
entities. So higher self is your soul, your the wisdom that's within you as a
Hmm.
total being. And you're a soul that's done many lifetimes and journeyed through space and time. And so you're accumulation of all of that wisdom. So higher self is that aspect of you that's always connecting with collective consciousness, if you like. And you can't separate out from that. It's not like we can snap ourselves off from consciousness, is it? We're all in that same soup. Spirit guides are beings that have been incarnate on earth. So your teachers, the ones who know what it is to live a earthly material life, who've been through the struggles that we've experienced in one way, shape or form at some time in space and time here. And so because they understand the earthly life and the earthly world, they can guide you in ways that are very of this world. And angelic intelligences have never been incarnate on earth. They're a completely different frequency, different level of awareness. So when I'm connecting in with the spirit world, I'm very aware of a whole load of different types of spiritual beings, intelligences. And they are different. They are different, but obviously all of the one beautiful tapestry.
No, I was just thinking while you were talking, I love the way that you can weave through going really deep and then putting it in layman's terms, for one of a better expression. One thing I remember, we were doing a meditation in your circle group, and you were talking about consciousness. And I don't know if I've told you this, but since we did it, but you described it as, how can you describe it? Tap into that and step back to that consciousness that we all have moments of experiencing, but then try and explain what it is. And I thought, oh yeah, you can't, right? You can't. It is everything, right? But I just love how you go super deep and then you bring it back to explaining the difference between angels and stuff like that. So yeah, I feel like you're obviously the perfect person to do this work.
Oh, thank you, Phil.
So just keeping on with that theme of consciousness, being able to tell the difference between your own thoughts or your own wishful thinking, if we're trying to make a connection with someone who's passed or get in touch with spirit guides, how do you start to tell the distinction between your own thoughts and something else coming in?
Yeah, well, it's really tricky, isn't it? So just like even on addressing the whole consciousness thing, we're not our thoughts. So the first thing is in realizing, if you're learning mediumship, that you're not your thoughts. So who are you then? And that's the bit you can't actually pinpoint. So something that I often say to people I'm teaching is, have you ever had the thought of, oh God, I can't stand this about myself? Do you know what I mean? That kind of thought. Who is the I that can't stand this about myself? So the I, the eternal I, the I am, is the observer, the aspect of you that even observes the thoughts that you're having. So you're, first of all, you are having to understand that there is an aspect of you that isn't your thoughts, and because we can control our thoughts, right? One of the great things to ask yourself is, I wonder what thought I'll have next, or I wonder what my next thought will be, and then you just go blank mostly, and that you is the observer. So the trick is to get into the observer, to go still and calm, and then to ask spirit to drop in insight. So for the beginner, it's really hard, because what will happen is a flash of insight will come in, or something will drop into your mind, and then you will automatically think about it. So you will then, what I find a lot of people do is, it's called colouring. It will become a blending of your input and their input, and that's where it's really hard. So the only way through it is to say the first thing that comes into your head, just as observation, not try to decipher it, and just allow that to keep coming. And for somebody else to be listening in and to be able to say, well, that makes sense, I can make sense of that. And in mediumship terms, it really is known as a blending of minds. So those who are connecting with you, over time, it'll get clearer and cleaner, and you will be more a channel for them rather than yourself in the way. But that's a process, and that's why mediumship's a spiritual practice, and why mediums get better and better and better with age. So it's not something that you need to be great at 20. You're going to be even better at it at 50 and 60 and 70, because you'll have life experience. You'll hopefully have done some spiritual growth in there.
do a lot of people sort of come into it a bit later, like myself? And then when I look back over my life, there was like all these little hints that seem to be leaning towards this. But I don't think I would have ever have been. I mean, I'm assuming I'm ready for it now, but I don't think I would have ever been ready until I hit my 40s. You know, I was too much wrapped up in my own dramas and you know, sort of concerned about myself. So is that quite common for people to come into it later?
It is. It is. I mean, you'll often hear mediums like myself who have been doing it, if you want, professionally from young. They often were seeing the spirit
Mm.
world from young. But most mediums, I mean, my teacher, who's absolutely phenomenal, didn't come into it until
Oh,
into her 50s. And I think that's because she had the ability there, but like you're saying, until you're
mm,
ready, and a part of the journey to be a great channel is to have walked the path yourself. So once you've got some wisdom under your belt, once you've been doing the material world, fighting the good fight, and realizing you're coming up with not a lot, and that you're missing the spiritual element in life, that's your spiritual awakening. So most people come to it because they've been broken open in
yeah.
some way. Um, and then they are looking for that spiritual dimension in their lives, and they start to tune into it. And of course, coming at it at your age, our age, uh, is beautiful, because you have got the wisdom and you're not going to be running with it, not being funny, but in your 20s, the likelihood of you getting caught up in ego and caught up in tainting your
Mm, mm,
mediumship because you've got immaturity on your side is
yeah.
high. So, once you've had that knocked out of you a bit, you're going to be a better channel anyway. So I really believe that if you look at all spiritual teachers, the older they get, the better they get. You just can't beat wisdom and
Yeah, that
age.
makes sense. Yeah, if you're wrapped up in yourself at 20, you'll be thinking, "Wow, look what I'm doing. This is amazing." And of course, it's
Look
not
at
you. And I think that also, as I'm sort of slowly learning and tentatively stepping into the arena of giving readings, and I'm not giving mediumship readings; it's more about psychic, intuitive readings. Um, Sometimes elements of mediumship come into it. The one thing that I'm noticing as a
mm,
beginner, and don't know why I'm telling you this, but for anyone that might be interested, it is I feel that the better I'm getting at it, the easier it is to start painting a picture about somebody. And of course, you know, I'll start with nothing and say, well, and have that confirmed by the client. And then it's kind of, and then I see a picture emerging, and I feel it would be so easy right now to just go ahead and tell them what I think they want to hear, you know. And I
yeah,
feel that
yeah.
that's again probably where some aspect of maturity comes in, because it's such a delicate thing that you're dealing with somebody else's life that might be hanging on your every word, and especially when it comes to mediumship or somebody that might have passed over that they're grieving, then trying to fill in the blanks is just obviously not the right thing to do at all. So I feel like there's so much responsibility around it that I'm sort of just myself personally just starting to feel the weight of it ever so slightly. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's good though, isn't it? Because that means you're coming at it with a conscientious want to first do no
Yeah.
harm, right? There's a code of
Mhm.
conduct. So, I mean, the reality is that all of us have got the same issues going on at the core. It's just boxed up
Mhm.
differently. So we're all, and what I mean by this is we're all on a journey back
Mhm.
to self. That's why we're here. That's why we're incarnate here, is to understand and discover who we really are. And so we're going to have very, if you want, similar issues packaged in different ways, but that are going to challenge us, in other words, to find unconditional love of self, to find unconditional love in being able to give it to others. And so whatever happens when you're doing a reading, I always find that, there are elements that are common to
Mhm.
everybody. And it would be very easy, wouldn't it? Because you do get your toolbox. The spirit world will work with you with a toolbox. They will show you what you're going to understand so that you can work quickly with them, like a shorthand in
Yeah.
symbolism. It would be very easy just to become formulaic.
Mm.
And I do think there is a case for, like, some people are really good at connecting with spirit children because they've lost their own children in life. Some people are really good at connecting. Like my forte is obviously with Soul Path and the guides and evidence-based mediumship. That's what I'm good at. Other people are really good at names and we have got our strengths and our areas that we specialize in, but you're right, it's always checking in and making sure that you're working with integrity, genuine, authentic honesty, and that you're not just spouting out the same thing, that you're challenging yourself and that you're doing the growth yourself inside, because the spirit world can only work with what you've
Yeah.
got in there. What's been programmed in here is the only thing they can work with. So the more that you learn, grow, put in there, the more they can pull you to information and use it.
Nicely said. So that, keeping with that theme of us all being on that journey, and this is something that I've talked to you about before, and I'm trying to think how to word it. So if this is ultimate reality, that we're all on this soul evolution, this journey of awakening and understanding, and then moving on to the next level in the next lifetime, or however it will be, what's the big secret? Like, why is everything so cryptic? Why do these sort of things come in that you have to really tune yourself into for a lot of people that don't just naturally turn into mediums? What's the big secret if this is the ultimate truth?
Well, it's funny because you're saying that to me and I feel like I've got higher inspiration coming in because I don't have all the answers. I'm certainly not a guru and I'm here myself trying to struggle and flail around like every what I'm sensing here is that one, it's not a
Mm.
secret, but the joy of living is in the unfolding. So what I've been taught before is that we start as perfection, from source energy, from the all that is. And we, if you want, fall away from it. We're not really falling anywhere, but we are moving from the everything into separation. That's the only way that we can understand that we are part of everything or that we are everything. So we have to separate away from that. And in doing that, we enter into a physical form. The brain is a computer, and it therefore has to filter out much of reality. It has to, otherwise this organic organ of a body will be so overwhelmed, especially the nervous system, we wouldn't be able to even function at all. So I don't believe it's a secret. I believe it's a process of remembering. And with each incarnation, using the physical body, we are then collecting data or information or experience within our individual soul energy that we are then putting back into the whole. And the trick is to move through time and space to the point where you don't have to forget anymore, but you can remember who you are, back to that beautiful perfection of unconditional love, but with awareness that you're it this time. So I don't think I mean, that's deep, right? I don't think it's a secret. I just think we can't grasp
Okay.
it. I don't think we can grasp it. And so it feels very cryptic and it unfolds to us in a very cryptic way. But that's all the beauty. That's the wonderment. Wouldn't it all be dull if we knew everything, had done everything, there was nothing else to experience and nothing gave us any kind of sense of adventure or, when you look at children, when I had my kids, they would just find even the leaf on a bush the most amazing thing in the world, and we'd have to stop and look at every leaf or every petal or, we forget that. So I think the joy in life is in the not knowing as much as it is in...
Nice. Yeah. Thank you. So just before we wrap up then, I just want to talk about your latest book, which is called Heaven Sent: Soul Lessons from the Afterlife. It feels like you're slightly moving away from the mediumship element of things and talking about the bigger picture. And one thing that comes up a lot are soul connections and twin flames. And I hear the word or the term twin flames being used a lot these days. And I feel that it gets used in right or wrong context here and there. How would you define it?
Yes, so twin flame, I prefer the term twin soul. Twin flame to me is kitsch, but everybody understands twin flame. And the reason that it comes about from that is when you are connected in with a twin soul, you have a burning sensation in the heart that literally feels like a flame, and the heart expands out massively, and that's why it feels like a flame. That's where that comes from. But twin soul is the phenomena of, just like we were saying, in order for you to experience, or the universe to experience itself, it has to, consciousness separates out, we call that soul. And as it does that, in order to take any form whatsoever in a world or universe of duality, it has to take polar energies. And so your soul splits out into two polar energies and then travels through time and space in those united like one, but like yin and yang, but in two aspects of itself. So we all have a twin soul counterpart. So a lot of us don't like to hear this because we want to think, no, I'm a whole soul in myself. And you are absolutely. But you are also, in order to be the whole soul in yourself, have had to have been polarized with another complete total aspect of your same energy source. And you're traveling through time and space, leveling up, going back to source, where you all unite and become that oneness again. So that's what a twin soul is. Nothing to do with romance, nothing to do with the best sex you'll ever have in your life and all the nonsense that's out there on Netflix and these cults that have all sprung up. We're talking about how energy comes into form within the universe. It's very different from soulmates. And the reason I've got onto this and written about it in Heaven Sent is because I am and have always been, for 20 years, I was an evidence-based medium and worked with the science side of things and everything and really had to understand it. But I was then led to the understanding that until you understand your soul self, the energy for which you are, if you want, within the quantum field, if we want to talk even in those terms, until you understand your soul self and you understand that you are divine love and that you have soul connections with other energies around you, going to get complicated now. You haven't understood the whole of mediumship, because it's not just about Granny coming back to you and telling you she's seen you in a shop buying a pair of trainers. That's all lovely to know. It's nice to know she's with you. It's nice to know life goes on, but it doesn't actually tap you into the essence of who you are. So you've got to do that and this. Yes, Granny's still with you because she's part of your soul family. She's journeying with you. She loves you because that unconditional love is an energetic soul bond that has bonded you together. And you are all coming back together as a team in soul family and soul group, back towards oneness with everything. That's what it's about. In a
Lovely,
nutshell.
lovely. Yeah, no, that's great. That was great. That was in a nutshell. That was like we went everywhere and then back. Yeah, so I think we're almost out of time. So where can everybody get your book or any of your books?
Yeah, so all my books are out on Amazon and in any good bookstore. Just Google me, Claire Broad. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on TikTok, Instagram. My website is clairebroad.com. So come and find me there. And reconnect, find out. I have been traditionally a mediumship now for 27 years.
In terms of the mediumship, you're like booked out for like a year in advance, right?
It's normally, it was 2 years, but who knows what they're doing in 2 years. So I've got lots of exciting plans on the card. So the diary rolls about a year in advance all the time, and people can book appointments for themselves on my website direct if they want a soul guidance reading. So I talk about soul purpose, your soul connections, your loved ones, bring through the evidence of survival, bring in the wisdom that we've been talking about. But there's a whole lot more I'll be doing to come.
Well, yeah, thank you. Thanks, Claire. I think that we covered a lot there in a very short space of time. So yeah, thanks again for taking the time to come on, and hopefully we can do it again somewhere.
Oh, definitely. Anytime.
All right. Thanks, Claire. Take care.
Bye.